Everybody to episode 14 of Politics on the Motherfucking Rocks.
All right, we tried that.
All right, let's restart. That was Tattoos by Tyler Childers. Timmy T. Childers, the man. I'm your host, Nicholas, and to my right, I have Chris.
Hello.
Across the table, Bookie.
Good day.
And Cameron, as always.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, that's right. It's the afternoon episode.
Afternoon.
Yeah. And our special guest, Cam, you want to go ahead and introduce him? Her?
Oh.
They, them, Zer.
Yeah.
We don't discriminate here.
Good point.
Yeah. Don't want to get canceled.
4 Roses, small batch. This is, what do you say? Good, cheap,
Yeah, it's a
good drinking whiskey.
Yeah, this is a bottle you keep in the house and sip on every night and not go broke doing it.
Yeah, and Chris said they kind of have like an interesting thing where they blend a couple different, I don't know, mash bills or whatever.
Yeah, they.
It's not like a single malt or anything like that.
Well, I think it is brewed in the same or distilled in the same place, but they have a bunch of different blends that they distill and then they blend them together.
Yeah, it's good.
It's like
man.
a blended single malt.
I think this one's like 4 different. I want to say that's why they call it 4 Roses.
Yeah.
Because it's
that
4
makes sense.
different.
Yeah. Nice.
No, it's good, man.
It is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says crafted from 4 selected bourbons.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Something different. Why not?
It's good.
It's handcrafted, so you know it's good.
Yes.
I love that sound. So yeah, we have a loosely structured episode today because we're shooting this early and we didn't have a whole lot of time to research some topics. So I think it was last night we kind of decided, right, on what we were going to talk about.
Yeah, that and just unfortunately everything right now going on in Florida is pretty much COVID related.
Yeah, we're kind of burnt out on the
Yeah.
COVID stuff.
Dude, I am so burnt out.
Everybody
Yeah.
knows about COVID. They know where they stand with it.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing now. It's like, no matter what anybody says at this point, I feel like people are so sunken into their, kind of their belief or where they stand that, it's almost like beating a dead horse at this point. So yeah, we're going to talk about Biden, our boy Biden.
Biden.
Him and Kamala Harris, the Russian ammo and firearms importation ban. We're going to talk about that, and we are also going to talk about... What were we talking about? I was hoping it'd come to me.
Those fucking cunts in Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fucking Aussie cunts.
I think they have like a kangaroo infestation going on or something.
Yeah.
We'll
Haven't
talk
they,
about
haven't
it.
they always had that, though?
Well,
I guess
more on that later.
I guess it's
Yeah.
bad right now. I don't know.
More on that later.
Shit. Whoa, dude. Take it easy.
That wasn't me. Was it?
That was me.
Fucking hammer fisting the table over here.
Nick,
Chill out, bro.
sitting across from Nick is like freaking violent, man.
Why?
Because he always yelling at me, dude. Stop yelling at me, bro.
Anyway, yeah, so I guess we'll just jump in and let
but-
the ball roll and see wherever we end up.
Yeah, make sure people subscribe to our content if you're liking what you're hearing.
Yeah. And if not, still share us.
Yeah, I mean, just do it anyways.
Yeah, just
Because
show everyone how
it's
dumb
2
we
clicks.
You have to realize that if you don't like what we say and you don't agree with what we say, you just have to come to terms with the fact that you're wrong. And yeah, you still have to share our stuff. You have an obligation.
are. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good point.
It's a matter of public health.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We haven't asked this in a while, but if you guys have any kind of
Whiskey and cigar
whi-
recommendations?
mainly whiskey recommendations that aren't like your typical what you find when you walk into like a.
All right, dude, just because you don't smoke cigars doesn't mean we don't want
Oh,
cigars.
He's smoking a cigar today.
I know.
I know.
I'm not used to this.
I know, but
It's
yeah, let's
freaking
throw out some whiskey
Daddy
recommendations.
cunt. All right, so yeah, first things first. Get Russian ammo bans out of the way here. Talk about that. Do you want to kick this off, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So, basically, the Biden administration, in response to, I can't remember exactly what it was a response to, but it's a response to like something Russia did recently. But they're putting all these sanctions on Russia, and some of them include banning the importation of ammo from Russia, which I believe something like 75% of the ammo that that people use comes from Russia, because a lot of the cheaper ammo, the steel-cased ammo, is from Russia. So it's usually really good to use as like training ammunition. So you're not, breaking the bank when you're out there shooting paper. And then also they're banning the importation of new weapons from Russia. So you're not going to be.
So I guess it was over the Russian government for poisoning and imprisoning of descendant
right.
Alexei Navalny.
Yeah, Alexei Navalny was he was like an anti-Russian government guy, and he I think he was like a whistleblower, and he fled the country and was in some European nation, and then he ended up going back to Russia voluntarily, and and then they arrested him like on site, and then he ended up in a Russian prison where he was on hunger strike, and then it was he died, but it was suspected that it was poisoning, not like he died of hunger or anything.
Oh, I said
like
poisoning. I see that now. It says poisoning.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's what they say it's for. But I mean, guess what? The U.S. government's doing the same thing to Julian Assange and
right. That's a good point to
Edward
bring up.
Snowden.
Yeah. But no, we're so
However you may feel about them.
morally righteous. You know what I mean?
So, this is a simple question, but I want to ask it. You said steel cased?
Yeah.
So what's the difference between what you'd buy that's manufactured?
Like the typical round of ammo that you would like probably picture in your head is a brass cased ammo. It's like, the color of brass. Mm-hmm. Well, the steel case ammo is like gray.
Yeah.
And it's different. It's a little bit less reliable. Like steel isn't malleable, so it doesn't expand.
Yes.
So it's not quite as consistent as a brass case.
Yeah, it holds its structure pretty well.
Right. So, and you can't reload a steel case, whereas a brass case you can reload it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when you fire a brass casing, like Chris was kind of saying, it expands inside the chamber, so you have less gas that comes backwards into the gun. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That's why you ever heard of annealed case?
Nope.
So annealing is a process in which you heat a metal and it becomes the ashing on my cigar. And it becomes more malleable. So that's why you see a lot of like the higher quality ammo is annealed on the tip where kind of the projectile goes into the casing.
You can see like some discoloration.
Yeah, it's normally like a little blue or like a little burnt looking, and that allows it to expand more efficiently and seal inside the chamber a little bit better to maximize the efficiency of the powder burning, and you get better velocity and more consistent velocity, things like that.
That makes sense. Just a quick question, not to derail us too far off the topic.
Far?
But so why is aluminum that much different than brass that they can't use that as well?
I'm pretty sure aluminum is just not strong enough
So it's too soft?
Yeah, well, either that or it's too... I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely not usable for like combustion, because I think it would just crack. Because it has to be relatively thin to be able to, hold the powder and all that. So you need a metal that is either going to just stretch like brass does instead of cracking, or a metal that's strong enough like steel where it's not going to break.
Okay. Just a quick question I had. But so it just sounds like it's the unfortunate circumstance where the American government and the federal government's making a decision that's going to affect ton of people.
Yeah, I mean, we just came off of a really bad ammo shortage where ammo prices doubled, more than doubled at
some
one
cases,
point.
I mean, shit, you used to be able to get brass case for around 23 cents, and I think it shot up to over $1.
Yeah,
in some
and
places.
Funny enough, the only ammo that you could find for a reasonable price was steel-cased ammo from Russia. Everything else was just expensive as hell. Like a round of 5.56 was $1 at one point for a brass-cased ammo, whereas the steel case was about 50 cents, which is still a lot more than it would be.
Yeah, I think steel case was anywhere between like 15 and 17 cents. So
yeah, before the shortage.
Yeah.
And I mean, shit. When this ammo ban was announced, overnight ammo went. You know, it kind of trickled down from that $1 to about, would you say, probably about 45 cents a round was kind of the going average in most cases. And I checked, like, literally the day after they announced that ban, it's back up to like 75, 80 cents a round.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's a pretty penny right there to...
Yeah, it's just another. I almost don't even think it's anything about this. Alexnia guy. I think it's more about just a reason for
there's
the
multiple
Biden
goals
administration to hinder the Second Amendment community even further.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense because, I mean, really, what do they get out of, like, they see someone getting possibly poisoned in prison. They say, I don't like that, so we're not going to allow your goods to come, like...
Right, so
and
we're going
it's
to...
not even the goods, it's specific goods of just firearms and ammunition.
Yeah. I think there was a couple of other things. I think there was, like, some sort of pipeline, but that's just another thing. It's like, another outside goal that they already had that they're trying to enforce under this excuse.
Yeah.
Obviously they don't want Russia building any pipelines. That's gonna be a detriment to our oil production, and it's gonna make them more.
Right.
It's all just a matter of control. But
But you don't see Biden banning movies that have taken place in China.
yeah,
It's not like they make atrocities every day,
yeah,
just like we do. But still, it's. I guess I just wanted to bring that up because it's very selective.
Yeah.
Which is commonplace if you're, you look at this stuff day to day or week to week.
If you're hyper obsessed with it like we are.
Yeah, unfortunately, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's such an interesting point. Being selective. You talk about stuff like, especially when it comes to like Afghanistan and people want to be selective about like who they care about is getting harmed. This is happening in Afghanistan, and since we're there and the news is there, the attention's there. And it tries to make like an argument to being like sort of interventionist and stuff like that. But like then you have things like what happened in like Rwanda and stuff like that, where the American government did nothing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, there's so many instances where based on the current metric that our government uses to involve itself in foreign affairs, there's been so many instances where we should have acted and we didn't. And then there's so many instances where we shouldn't have acted and we did.
Right.
For example,
and it has a lot. It has a lot to do with like what they can get out of it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah. Or I mean, it has everything to do with that, really.
Right.
But yeah, what can we get out of it? What kind of what is the natural resources there?
Yeah, how can we use this situation to grab more power for ourselves?
And then they start the propaganda machine and tell you about the women and children that are being abused.
They tell you about how the Taliban don't respect women's rights while simultaneously funneling billions of dollars to Saudi Arabia and Pakistan so that they can drop bombs on innocent people in Yemen.
and toss gay people off roofs.
Yeah. And they also the U.S. actually imposes a blockade on Yemen to prevent them from getting any food or medical aid, and then they all just like die of fucking dysentery.
Yeah, but it's all about what the media portrays, right? Like you were saying, Cameron.
Right.
It's Afghan is in the media right now, so that's what the focus is on. The media never gave a shit about Yemen.
Yeah.
No.
Or they at least did not cover it for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting too because it's one of the things where, for the general person who just watches news, like, when they get home from their job, working 8 to 10 hours a day, you can't really blame them too much to, like, this is what they see, so it's understandable this is what they care about, right? Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to, like, put the blame on, like, the general people. I mean, I can easily put the blame on people who are, I guess, more elite, like your Hollywood actors and actresses, your political elites, because one aspect of those people, the Hollywood people, they don't have to say anything. Like, no one's forcing them to. and I think a child just got murdered next door. But
My God.
no one probably heard that on the podcast. But so it's like for them, it's like, why even bring this up when one, you're just a normal person. Besides, you make a lot more money for pretending to be other people. Like, you know, like your knowledge on foreign affairs is no better than the guy who goes to Publix or goes to, you know, work sheet metal or whatever he might be doing. Mm-hmm. You just have a bigger platform because people think you're amazing because you pretend to be someone. And then, so like
You're really good at pretending.
Yeah, and they do it a lot.
Yeah, they do it even off screen.
Exactly. It's, you know, yeah, but then it's like the political people who kind of focus on that as well. Them you can blame more in the fact that they know about other things, or they should know about, like Yemen and what we do with Pakistan and Iran. But yet they still focus only what the media is showing.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, you know, distrustful and...
Yeah.
You know, that, just to speak to what you just said, Book, you know, when we brought up, like, virtue signaling, and I think that has a lot to do with, like, the elite. It's like the elite sort of, like, falling in line and whatever. But you brought up, like the average Joe who is working 9 to 5, whatever, comes home, turns on a little CNN, Fox News, gets their dose of whatever propaganda, whatever side whatever they're watching, right? And then, so what happens next? I think is interesting. Okay, because if your level of, like, research and if that's your level of research is, like, sitting down and turning on one of those, like, really horrible news stations and then digesting that and then going out and being, like, passionately
ignorant.
Yeah, right. Like, so I feel like if your level of research is that minimum,
you shouldn't be making a fucking
statement at all. Your passion should kind of align with that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're someone who's if that's what you believe, and maybe we don't agree, but, like, you're all in, and that's what you want to do, and that's fine. But I'm just saying, like, if your level of research is that minimum, maybe your sort of level of passion should be that minimum too.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when Bookie said a little bit earlier, he was saying how you almost can't blame people. I don't blame people, and this is just kind of reinforcing what you're saying, Cameron. I don't blame people if they just kind of watch the news and they have their own opinion, and that's kind of the extent of their, political involvement. But like you were saying, shut up, Chris. Like you were, like you were
not
saying,
to interrupt.
Not to interrupt. Bro.
Yeah. All right, ha ha ha. Yeah. But if you're gonna be the person that, like you were just saying, if if you're gonna have a statement, at least be educated on as much of that statement and that stance as you can be. Otherwise, you're going to get picked apart. Like, your argument's going to be picked apart pretty quickly.
Well, and not only that, you're potentially, you're just a tape recorder. You're just
NBC.
copying everything they say.
You're an NPC.
Yeah. So it makes you look silly.
Yeah.
And there's a chance that you may be just delivering or just echoing, like, false information.
Yeah, and the worst part isn't even that you're, repeating this false information and, possibly giving other people shitty info. I mean, that sucks, but, like, the worst part is that you're so passionate about it that you're going to call other people racist, you're going to question their morality, and you're going to, like, basically treat them like a piece of shit because they don't agree with you, when you literally did no fucking research to arrive at your conclusion.
Yeah. And that's I feel like we've seen so much of that the last year and a half. Not to delve into a little COVID talk again, but the second. Yeah, and what you just said, Chris, it's even exasperated when...
I think we got a quinceañera next door.
Yeah, dude, they got...
Yeah, good time.
You guys want to go check that out?
As soon as we start a podcast,
it's a good thing we got these dynamic mics.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, like, when this ends, you guys want to go over there and check it out?
Probably.
Can't get some, like, tacos and...
That guy's my new neighbor. I've never met him.
You never met him?
My wife doesn't like him.
I wonder why.
Well, I don't know. He's just...
Is it because he blasts
music at 1 o'clock on Sunday?
I mean, we can't say much. We do this at like 11 o'clock at night on a Monday.
Yeah, your neighbor probably hates us.
Yeah, well, that's all right.
But yeah, anyway, so what Chris was kind of saying is, how people will scream Nazi and racist and homophobe and xenophobe and all this stuff. It's even exasperated when you have what is essentially the government's okay to treat people like shit because they don't believe in a certain course of reasoning.
And it's funny. You guys probably saw that video of that Viking looking guy at the San Diego community meeting or something. That just like he was like whistling, saying that's the sound of the wind coming, and then like started yelling at him. Yeah. That guy was hilarious. But
we could play it. Should we play it?
Yeah, pull it up.
We could, but let me just make my point real quick.
Go ahead.
Not
to interrupt you.
Yeah, not to interrupt. But so he brought up this the Nuremberg Code, which was devised as a result of the Nazi experiments that happened during World War II. And these people that call people Nazis can't even abide by the very first fucking rule of the Nuremberg Code, which is that every medical decision has to be consented by the patient.
Yeah. And what is the consequence for breaking the Nuremberg Code, Chris?
Death!
Do we want to play the whole thing? Because it's, I guess it's not that long, right? What is it, like 3 minutes or something?
Maybe just skip to like...
No, we'll play the whole thing.
30 seconds. But before you play that real fast, I do want to like reiterate my point real fast. I do see a difference between the everyday person who works like a typical job, 9 to 5 or whatever, versus, even though like I still think an actor or actress or elite who does their own craft versus a 9 to 5 job probably have the same knowledge on the facts because they get it from the same places. It's the people who have the bigger audience, which is the elites, who are spouting that information who goes farther, right?
Mm-hmm. True. Yeah.
It affects more people. So when I say I understand people, it's like I understand the 9 to 5 guy or girl who like watch CNN or Fox News and just reiterate what they say. It's like, okay, your reach isn't. I still want you to be hopefully more informed and kind of reach out a little bit farther past that and kind of see what's going on. But it's really the elites who are like, all right, you have this big platform, and I don't necessarily think because you have a big platform you have to watch what you say, because I think that's bullshit. Like, do whatever you want, but don't get butthurt when people come after you because you're telling people to get vaccinated or not vaccinated, but it's because you have a reach of tens of thousands.
Yeah.
All right, so here's the crazy Viking hippie.
This is San Diego, I think.
This is him blowing into the microphone.
That's the wind. That's the wind of time. That's the wind of history. That's the wind blowing through your ancestors' bones, begging you to do the right thing.
Sir, can you please state your name for the audio record?
That Matt Baker is calling upon from Ocean Beach.
I love how he just throws his name and location in there.
The wind that is blowing through the black people, through the white people, through the Chinese people, through the Mexican Americans, to the people that built this building with their bare hands to raise up this nation. They are begging you, and they...
I just want to pause it real quick, because at this point, his face is like blood red. He's like... Yeah, anyway, you can just see the passion. This is basically what I'm getting at, but let's finish.
Blowing through your veins, and they should be putting a tingle up the spine of your back, and they should be begging you to do the right thing. You're about to open a pit of hell. You do not get a vaccine passport put on us. You know, as the population who's in control, you know that the people or the politicians, once you get a power, you will never relinquish it. Do you think that the 4 feet of marble that holds you above high in this chamber will help you from the fate of humanity which you are unleashing? No! It won't! Your children and your children's children will be subjugated! They will be asked, how many vaccines have you had? Have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! Hail Fauci! There has been a lot of talk about the Nuremberg Code. Well, I brought you a copy. You are all in violation of Section 1. Yes, you, Dr. Wooten. You are in violation of the Nuremberg Code, which is international law, and the definition is...
Thank you, sir. Your time has expired.
The definition, we shall not be coerced. All of this is coercion. The vaccine passport is coercion, and the penalty for violating the Nuremberg Code is...
violating the orientation of the meeting.
I
Oh
look
my
at me.
God.
I got goosebumps, dude.
Yeah, I'm ready to run through that wall behind you guys.
It's probably a good thing that we have this tablecloth, or else you guys can see how erect I am.
I'm ready to storm the Vero Beach City Council right
and
now.
you know, it's so easy to write that guy off as a lunatic, but I mean, he's
He's not wrong.
no, like, yeah,
I mean, his approach is definitely fanatic, but good for him.
I appreciate it
Yeah.
though, honestly.
yeah.
Yeah,
I love that Hail Fauci part.
Hail
Fauci!
I like when
Hail Fauci!
I like when he's talking about, have you been a good little Nazi?
Yes.
That's funny.
I know.
that was amazing.
It's one of those videos you start and you're like, "Oh, this guy's insane," and then you're like, "God, why do I agree with a lot of things he's saying?"
I know, and I think
Yeah.
it's worth noting that he, that was straight like off the cuff. He wasn't reading anything. You know what I mean? Like he was just. Gotta say, for as much of a lunatic as that guy is, he's actually kind of, you know, apart from the screaming and stuff, kind of well spoken.
Yeah.
We should see if he
thought
wants
he
to
was.
get a beer.
I thought he was, like, the first
And
time
he
I
will be
watched
calling
it.
in next week.
I hope so.
The first time I watched it, I was like, I wasn't really of the mind that he was, like, well spoken, but after I saw it that time, I kind of, like, realized, I kind of noticed that.
Yeah, right.
So, no, that video is great. And if you guys want to look it up, it's probably like search in Google like San Diego.
Well, what we could put it on our link tree, right?
Oh,
Yeah, we can do
we
that.
can do that.
Have we been doing
God damn, we're so
Do what?
fucking technologically advanced.
that? I don't know what is Linktree. I thought it was somewhere we could post shit.
Yeah,
I think
well,
it's post like our stuff, like our like social media.
but you can post anything. We could post a link to that video.
You can probably put it in the description.
Yeah.
I'll throw it in there.
Or put it in the bio on Instagram.
Yeah.
Mm.
Well, the
Okay.
link tree's in the bio. So,
Right, okay.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll put it in the link tree. But yeah, it has links to our YouTube page, to our Spotify page, and to our
Instagram.
Apple page and our Instagram page. Yeah. So, but we can keep adding stuff, you know, and then take it down week by week.
Shot pod.
I did want to bring it back to the ammo thing real fast. Do you think this is going to affect their production or their sales of ammo from Russia? The fact that
I
U.S.
would
won't be
say
buying?
Yeah, probably.
I would
We-
think so, right?
I
I
think
mean,
there's
we
a
have
big amount of their customer base that is America for sure.
Yeah, I was. There's this guy Jim Fuller. He owns Fuller Phoenix. He's like if you want to buy the best AKM platform like rifle, you go to him. Like he's like the gold standard for AKs and like pretty much any Russian built firearm. He seems to think that it's not gonna have a huge effect on us. But then I was reading through some of the comments, and you know, I didn't look into this, but apparently, like 40% of our ammunition in America is actually Russian made. So, I mean, we have what, like 60 or 70% of all the firearms in the world, or something ridiculous, like the American market.
Correction on what I said earlier. It's not 75. It's 40.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. Again, this was just some jack off commenting in this comment section. So who really knows if he knows what
It's
he's talking
somewhere
about.
between 40 and 75.
Yeah, small margin. But yeah, I don't know. I see it being a big impact on the Russian market.
Yeah, which brings up a good point. Like, not brings up a good point, but kind of brings the to look at is this is now another area that American governments, you know, people can look at them and be like, well, fuck Russia. Like, you know, they try to, you know, do whatever. They're communists and blah, blah, blah. But, like, the people who live in Russia are still, like, just normal people who are your neighbors.
You're killing someone's business.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like, someone on the line now might not have a job and now might have to go to the gulags.
Yep.
Right.
Like, it
Good job.
sucks.
Yeah, and
Now
that's
they're in Siberia forever because
yeah.
of you.
I follow this account on. You good?
Yeah, I'm stretching.
Oh, I thought you were like doing a breaststroke or
I thought he
something.
was raising his hand.
Yeah, I was like, you can just speak freely here. You don't have to raise our hand.
Pick me.
It's
But
the
I follow
dictatorship
this.
led by Nick now.
Yeah. It's always been.
Not to
boys.
interrupt.
I follow this page, Tea in the Harbor. I think you follow them too, right, Chris?
Probably.
Anyway, he posted a poll on his Instagram story and said something that it was a question, and the question was, if it was confirmed that the coronavirus was created in the Wuhan lab to be weaponized against the U.S., do we think that we should take action on China via nuclear attacks?
Jeez.
And
That was a legit question.
that was a legit question. I obviously voted no. And it was surprisingly like kind of a 50-50 split. And this page normally is like a pretty libertarian-minded page. So I was like really surprised to see. Well, I wasn't surprised to see the question because I think it's, I don't know, just not a fair question, but I think it's just kind of interesting to ask those kind of questions to gauge, just to gauge things. But the next story was what really like kind of tripped me up, and give me 2 seconds. I'll cut out the dead air, but I want to pull up the actual.
No, you're good. So the only thing I would bring up in that aspect is it's probably like an Instagram voting system, right?
Yeah, so obviously it's going to cater to his following.
Well, not even that. It's just like, I mean, it's online, anonymous, so people can just like fucking.
All right, shut up. So here it goes.
Okay.
He goes the next, the next story after his poll. It said, I guess I'm at a loss. How can so many people say no? Meaning, no, we shouldn't take nuclear action against China. COVID has killed 628,000 Americans. That is 257 September 11 attacks. That's more Americans killed than That's more Americans killed than died in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan combined. How do you say no to that? Waste those motherfuckers. And my response, I think the most rational was because the people don't decide what their government does. It'd be similar to say our involvement in the Middle East justifies a nuclear strike on us. Most of us were/are against our involvement there, so why should we pay?
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And also, you have to realize some of these Instagram pages that call themselves liberty pages and whatnot, they're neoconservatives.
Oh,
they're
for sure.
people who were like, John McCain Tea Party people, and they think that, they have a Gadsden flag on their fucking wall, and they think that they're pro-liberty, but they're not. They're pro-Americans having liberty and everyone else being subjugated to
They're
us.
pro-empire. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only point I was going to bring up too is that it's the internet, it's anonymous, so all those votes could just be like shit posting, right? People are like, oh yeah, fucking nuke them, but they don't really think that.
Well, I've noticed one thing that's always really controversial. There's those certain things, like if you follow a lot of history pages, whenever they post certain things, the comment section just goes fucking ballistic. A lot of times, Holocaust stuff, there's always like a 500 comment long thread about, people saying they hate Jews and other people saying that you can go fuck yourself and whatever. But, so it's, it's the internet. It's the way it is. But, with the nuclear attacks on Japan, I've noticed that those comment sections get pretty wild too. And, there's, a lot of people think that it's okay that we wasted 200,000 civilian lives, in order to save some fighting men. That's what war is. It's a contest between fighting men, not fucking civilian, not wasting civilian populations so that you can avoid a conflict.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't think about like the magnitude of what that event actually like was. Like,
Yeah.
we killed that was straight up murder. Like, we murdered 200,000 Japanese citizens. Like, we didn't even attack like a military base or like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like it
We
was
literally detonated essentially an experimental bomb. Like we had done tests on, the Manhattan Project, and like we kind of knew what, nuclear bombs did, but it was still like brand new technology to us, and we just detonated it in a fucking city center.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think in people's minds it goes in the fact that like if you're downrange from somebody and you shoot them, you don't necessarily see like their eyes, right? So it's like impersonal. Whereas like if you put it in the concept of like you're actually shoving these people into places where they get gassed and killed, it's more personal. So like that hurts more like on a feeling level. where like the bomb itself is like shooting someone down range, right? It's like we don't know those
Yeah,
people.
you're detached from it.
Exactly. It doesn't mean it's right or wrong. It doesn't mean it's right, but
It's just easier for people to justify,
Correct.
I guess, yeah. Which
Yep.
is sick.
It's sad.
I mean, yeah, when you, like... I feel like you only have to sit down and think about it for, like, 60 seconds before you're like, wow, that's fucked up.
Yep.
Like,
I agree.
that'd be the same thing as, like, you just imagine you're sitting at work and you're just disintegrated.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was.
I mean, yeah.
Not even at work. You could have been... I mean, a lot of people were fucking in their houses. Like,
No,
Yeah.
I think that's such a good point that like that we should constantly be bringing up. You know, is like do not detach yourself. Don't detach yourself from like the realities of these like conflicts because like innocent people are dying. You know what I'm saying? For something that seems so nonsensical and just not important to everyday life, you know?
Yeah.
And like, and you mentioned it earlier, book and also Chris, like when you institute these tariffs, like you're not really affecting the Russian government. You're affecting some guy who owns a company who like, employs all these people who have families, and you think that you're getting back at the government. But you're really just getting back, you know, you're just really just, unemploying or whatever. These people, they may have to have layoffs and all these other things.
that's why sanctions are stupid.
Well, yeah, and tariffs and things like
you're
that.
hurting
it's a
American
sanction, right?
consumers who buy those products.
Right. So it's never the government really getting after, you know what I'm saying? They're not really getting after the government.
And this is one of those things that conservatives are actually really good on. That's like the one thing that they understand is tariffs, it seems. Like that's the one fucking aspect of economy or economics that they even like grasp. And so yeah, they're generally pretty good on, being anti-tariff and stuff. Even the John McCain Tea Party was anti-tariff. But yeah, they still will, even when a conservative is in office as president, they'll still use it as a weapon and find a justification for it.
Mm-hmm. The only thing I want to say on this topic, the last thing I want to say at least, is to go back what you were saying, that guy on that post said about, they killed 600,000 Americans or whatever, and it was 10 times 9/11s or whatever. But it's not the same thing as, in my mind at least, the way I look at it, someone directly trying to kill people in a building. If it was released from a lab on accident or on purpose, it's not something that kills people automatically, right? It's just, it does discriminate, and its lethality isn't 100%. So you can't, it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, because...
Right, you drive a plane into a building, you're 100% killing people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You release a virus that has a 99.8.5%.
That was always my thing with the whole, China weaponized this virus. I'm like, man, if they wanted to weaponize a virus that would, do the most damage... I feel like this is not the one.
The one that kills old people?
Yeah, that's
And
like
sick people?
that's
Right.
like the least. That's like the population that, you wouldn't care about if you wanted to really. Fuck
you
the
want to
country
kill the
up.
young
You want to
people.
kill the young fighting age.
It was just
you
a
know.
test, Nick. It was a test. The next one's gonna fuck us up.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, let's put our conspiracy hat.
But yeah, I just want to say that it's just it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, because obviously this virus doesn't kill 100% of the people it contacts.
Only 99 or only 0.02%.
That guy's
Exactly.
totally ignoring the fact that we know that the U.S. was involved in the research at this facility.
Yeah, the gain of function. Research.
So
We're killing our own people.
we
in his mind.
we funded
we should be nuked.
we funded the research that supposedly created this created this virus.
don't say vaccine, bro. We'll get the
I know,
fucking.
we'll get fucking knocked right off.
We'll get the fact
face
check
of the earth.
thing on our.
But
Spotify.
I mean, that guy's comment or post, the least concerning thing is the fact that he's a conspiracy theorist. The most concerning fact is that he thinks that we should drop nuclear bombs on China.
Yeah, a country that has hundreds of nuclear bombs.
Yeah, that's the most concerning
Like,
fact.
what do you
I think
think they're
that's-
going to do?
yeah.
They're just going to sit there with their nuclear bombs like, oh, I don't know what to do. No, they're going to fucking
what?
launch them
I
at
think
L.A.
that's such. I think
Which,
that's
might not be the worst thing, but...
I feel like that's I'm glad you brought that up, because it's worth noting. I feel like the U.S. government and the Pentagon has this long history of using the idea that other countries have nuclear weapons as a scare tactic into gaining support for, whether it be sanctions or military involvement and things like that. It's no country is good. Like, no military or no nuclear equipped country is gonna launch nukes at another nuclear equipped country.
Yeah, that's why we are only fighting in these proxy wars. Because if we're fighting against cave people, they're not going to nuke us. And then if the Russians fight
Did you
against...
say gay people?
No, cave people.
Oh.
So
It literally
so
sounds
if we're
gay. I was like, wait, I think I lost something here in this conversation.
No, we are the gay people.
Oh, right.
No, if we're fighting against the cave people that Russia supports, and then, they're not going to nuke us, then Russia fights against the cave people that we support, they're not going to get nuked. And so then, everybody's happy.
Yeah, and just so people... I appreciate that, Boogie, chewing off the mic. In case you don't know, a proxy war is basically a war waged with another country through other countries.
Right.
Is that confusing? Is that
No,
confusing?
Makes sense. It's pretty much the Middle
Other
East in the past
countries
40 years.
or factions.
So for instance, like, we aided Osama bin Laden in fighting against Russia. Like, that is a proxy war with Russia. We didn't directly fight Russia, but we armed and equipped Al Qaeda to fight off
when
Russia.
they were the Mujahideen.
Yeah.
And then
so that's what a proxy war is. So
and then
it's fighting another
Russia,
country.
and then we also armed and equipped ISIS, which went under the name al-Nusra in Syria, to fight against the Russian-backed Syrian government. So there's another proxy war for
And now we equip the Taliban that is going to eventually partner with Russia and China, and, who knows what that will.
and then give us an
outcome will
excuse to go back there and,
Yeah, that's what I think. I think, the official claim was that we left those for the ANA, the Afghan National Army.
They clearly didn't need them.
Yeah, well, right, because
They didn't want 'em.
They decided they weren't going to defend their country, but I think it was more so a backdoor, proverbially a backdoor for us to go back.
It was like an arms dump, just make this place as chaotic as possible.
Yeah,
and
to give
get
us
out.
a reason to be, to go, look what happened. Meanwhile, and this goes back to, one of the major points I think we always bring up in this podcast is it's a government created problem that more government will fix, air quotes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So we left what was it, like $80 billion in
Probably more.
arms and vehicles and
I
helicopters?
don't know, the number changes every time I hear someone say it.
Yeah,
So
I know.
it's
like-
somewhere between like
It's
10
way too
billion
much.
and like 2 trillion.
right.
Yeah.
But
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, but now you see that if you're an American citizen in Afghanistan, you have to sign a promissory note of $2,000 to the federal government for your extraction.
Yeah.
You guys seen that?
Oh yeah.
But hey, don't remember the $10 million we gave Pakistan for gender studies, or the $1.3 billion we gave to Egypt for defense.
That stuff's important, Nick.
Yeah. Right. But getting Americans out of foreign, terrorist occupied countries.
It's only
Yeah.
2 thou, bro. It's only 2 thou.
Yeah. Oh, and their security for getting that money is you won't be able to renew your passport if you have an outstanding debt with them. Isn't that? I don't know. That's just so disgusting to me. And
That's
I feel
like your right as a U.S. citizen to, have a fucking passport.
Yeah. Right. Not only that.
Unless you're a serial killer,
Yeah. And it's like okay, so I have to sign a loan to you for $2,000. It's like I pay that every year in fucking taxes.
Mhm.
Is that? Yeah, I don't know. It's
And
just
these
I
people
feel
were
like if
over
you
there.
can look at that and not realize that the government does not give a fuck about you, then
Yeah.
you either have your head in the dirt or you're just lying.
Because
to
these
yourself.
are the people who were with the government. These are the people who were there serving the government.
Right, I
That's
think,
why
yeah,
they were
that's
there
even
in the
a-
first place.
that's even a
and
better
they're
point to
being
bring
treated
up.
like this.
Yeah.
So imagine how the fuck they'll treat you.
Right. It's not like people like you and me that just said, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to go and live in Afghanistan for fun." We're not Miles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we're not cool like Miles.
So yeah, it's like, people that were over there at the government's accord, and now it's like, oh, you want to be rescued? Well, I'm sorry, but you're gonna have to pay to be rescued. It's like, how fucked is that? And then there's reports coming out that Americans are getting captured on their way to the airport, and oh no, shit's getting gnarly out there.
Have you seen the videos of the Taliban patrolling Kabul in Humvees with like fucking 50 cals and
Yep.
Mark 9s or Mark 4s, the grenade launchers on top of them, and they have. I mean, the grenade launchers are all fully equipped with ammo and everything.
Yep.
They're
40 mics, go boom. And it's so funny to me, like so many of the lefties, they want to like discredit the capabilities of the Taliban. It's like, I mean, I understand they're uneducated. They've been living in caves and shit, but like, they're human also, so they can figure this shit out. Like, what we've been gone for a week, and you've already seen videos of them flying Chinooks around and shit.
A lot of those Taliban
didn't take them
leaders
long to figure it out.
A lot of those Taliban leaders are not uneducated too. They're like they're educated in
Like
like
Ivy
Saudi basically the Ivy League of like Saudi universities. They all know English very well.
Mm-hmm.
I listened to one Taliban leader today talking, and he sounded like a British dude.
Yeah,
Like,
a lot
legit.
of them, the leaders, like you said, they actually do go to UK for college.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so a lot of the higher ups in the Taliban are actually pretty highly educated.
Yeah, so all that to say that all that shit we left there that everyone wants to say, oh, they're not going to know how to use that, or they're not going to know how to resupply it or whatever. It's like, yes, the fuck they are. They're going to figure out how to fly helicopters. They did in less than a week. And two, it doesn't matter if they can't resupply it. They can sell this shit, right?
I mean, it's just a bad argument.
Yeah, it's a stupid argument.
It's a
like,
silly argument.
Yeah, it's a hyperbolic argument. Like,
Yeah.
there's no evidence to base that.
Like, have
claim
you
on.
seen the contraptions that some of the rebel groups in Syria have built? They have like
They're clever.
yeah, they have like the most ridiculous shit, like just strapped into the back of a Toyota Hilux, and just like they're just like blasting like fucking 30mm shells out of this thing.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
like-
And maybe on this topic, this will be my last statement. But whenever
you
I talk,
already said that.
well, that was about the ammunition
I
for
know,
Russia.
fucking with
But
you.
this thing is like more of like what people are calling terrorists. But I always want to take a look at it in the fact that like if I was in their shoes, I'd be doing exactly what they're doing. So it's really hard for me to call them a terrorist because they're just trying to take back the land they see as theirs. And yes, we don't condone what they're doing to citizens and maybe the human rights they
Right.
take away. But at the same time, like, this has been occupied for, in this short span of time, which is not short, 20 years by America. And before that, 5 to 10 years before? And it's been occupied by other countries as well. So, like, what the fuck do you think they're going to do? Like,
Yeah.
they're just like, and just think this as like the revolutionaries, and it's not a 1-to-1 ratio, but you don't think, we took England's ammunitions and what we took from them and like their stores of power.
But the difference is they didn't leave it there for us.
Well, I mean, no, we took it.
Yeah.
And at the same time, yeah, exactly. We didn't, exactly, not a
Right.
1 ratio, but
Yeah.
still, it's like, good. I'm glad, and I'm not glad they're taking it because I wish we didn't leave it. But at the same time, it's like, I'm glad.
Oh yeah, I don't think anybody's surprised that they took it.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is, if I was in their shoes, I'd probably be doing the exact same thing because there's this country that doesn't belong there. It's been my homeland, or at least an area of land that I call my homeland. Because again, Afghanistan's been tribal leaders in different areas, but
Yep.
still, it's we occupied them. They said that we didn't want you. Maybe there's a population that said we do want you, but at the same time, the Revolutionary War, there was a lot of people in the Americas who wanted the British still here.
yeah, it was less than like 10% of the population that was in support
Correct.
of the American rebel.
Yeah. So I mean, it's, I don't know, coming from a country that's born, in the Americas, coming from a country that's born from a revolution, from being occupied from a place they said we don't want you here anymore. It's really hard for me to get behind and be like, I don't know. It's.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Bookie is pro Taliban.
I mean, I'm pro someone taking their country from people who shouldn't be there.
I guess that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the argument on the other side of that
They're
is,
terrorists.
yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
No,
Yeah.
we get what you're saying.
you made that point though. I mean, you're not talking about like the stuff they're doing to like women and children and stuff like that. You're just talking about just basically from the point that it's their home. We were there.
And now we're not there.
Now we're not there. Now they're coming back in.
and they didn't want us there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that the Afghan leader that I was listening to his interview earlier said, or the Taliban leader, sorry, he said that well, the first thing he said was, I don't think most people see us as terrorists, and he's wrong about that. Most people do see them as terrorists. But then he said, I think it's just the U.S. government labeled everyone that they don't like as terrorists. And I was like...
including us.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? I think you might be onto something there.
Right?
Because, yeah, no, we definitely see you guys as terrorists, but...
But apparently,
also
people who are pro-choice in regards to the vaccine are also considered terrorists.
Yeah,
so.
well, also a lot of, probably the majority of Americans, if you did a poll, believe that the Taliban had something to do with 9/11, which they didn't.
Yeah, exactly.
As soon as it happened, they offered to give us Osama bin Laden because he was hiding in Afghanistan at the time, and they were under control there. So, to say that they're, terrorists of the same caliber as Al Qaeda is a total lie and fabrication. Like these people are nothing like Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda are like international terrorists, and they're Arabs.
Yeah,
they're
these guys are
Pashtun tribal people from Afghanistan,
right? That just want to keep their country.
Yeah, I don't think the guy who I saw trying to figure out how to do lap pull downs in that video had anything to do with the plane going into 9/11.
That was amazing.
That shit was so funny, man. But from these people, like the Taliban's perspective, like they've probably never seen this shit before.
He kind of looked like
sure.
an airplane.
I'm just saying, like that
what
guy.
Is this elliptical? He's on it backwards,
Like-
and then it pans over, and there's like a dude like next to the dumbbells with a rocket launcher strapped to him.
Yeah.
And he's like cry laughing.
It's just hard for me to point him as a terrorist when he probably had nothing to do with any terrorist action besides trying to take back his homeland.
Yeah. The scary part is now they all have night vision and body armor and M4s with.
I haven't seen any
lasers.
night vision.
But I don't think
in
they'll
there,
be
but
here.
I really hope they don't have. Night
Yeah,
vision.
no. I've seen pictures of some of the stockpiles of shit where granted they're old like PVS 7s.
Yeah,
that are shit
but that's
anyway,
like,
but still, they can now see in the dark, and now they have body armor.
That's like the past.
If we ever go back, it's an entirely new war for us.
Yeah, the past 30 years, America's massive advantage in these wars is that we can fight at night.
Yeah,
they don't fight at night. These other people
can't
because they
fucking
don't have fucking night vision. But yeah, Americans can fight at night, and that's typically when we do. And so, the fact that they have their hands on night vision is it's a whole new level. It literally upgrades their capabilities
tenfold.
Yeah, to levels that you can't even imagine.
That's probably being even conservative.
And for me, maybe that's hopefully a deterrent, right? Hopefully.
Well, for us going back?
Yeah, exactly.
Probably not.
Probably, again, they don't care about the people on the ground. Better. Yeah. But still, it's
They can now see at night. They can see our IR laser. So for people who don't know, when you're shooting with night vision, you're oftentimes not looking through your optic because of the obvious, you have 4-inch tubes sticking off your face. It's kind of difficult to use your optic. So what people use is it's what's called a IR laser. You've probably seen them. They're like little boxes that sit on the front of their rifle, and it's a laser that's invisible to the naked eye. But when you look through it through night vision tubes, it's like you've probably seen it in movies and shit. It's like a laser,
the green laser.
Yeah, it's a highlighted laser, and it's called passive aiming, and that's 99% of the time what our special forces guys and I guess anybody with night vision, that's normally what they use to aim with. So now we can't use that now, essentially. If they have night vision, now they can see those lasers, which is, like Chris was saying, that's the biggest advantage we've had in pretty much our conflict over there in the last 20 years. Is, they didn't have that technology, and now they do. So that's kind of cool, I guess.
So, I just want to make a comment on this, and I want not to say anything else about this, but this is a question. So, but do you think that we're being too soft on the kind of people they are? Because I know they're doing some pretty evil shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, they really are, right?
When you say us, you mean literally us here? Us
yeah, yeah. Are we being too soft? Because I know Bookie brought this up, but he also said, "Look, I'm not really for the other stuff they're doing as far as civil rights."
I think what he actually said is he's in full support of the Taliban.
Yeah, I think actually about a T-shirt that says "Tally for life."
But that's not to say we should be over there because of that reason. But I think, and we brought this up where maybe they're not all, Islamic extremists, and a lot of them probably have just to,
they're grifters that hate America for our involvement there.
Right. And we brought that up, but I'm just saying as far as our like libertarian bias, is it really easy for us to just be like maybe a little soft on the fact that like they are doing some really evil shit?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of us being super critical on our involvement there.
Yeah.
And us, just kind of being like, well, yeah, this was inevitable, but
Yeah, I definitely don't want to downplay, the
atrocities.
evil things that they have done and that they probably will do in the future.
And or maybe are doing now.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's just, not our fucking problem.
Right.
And it's clearly we have had no effect in preventing it.
Well, yeah, it took 11 days for them to essentially take their entire country
If
back.
we're going to stop them from doing implementing Sharia law and running their country how they see fit, then we're going to have to be there constantly forever.
Right.
Which
not
conveniently is something that Raytheon would probably love. So,
well, I mean that's pretty much the answer I was looking for. It's like because there's going to be a lot of like like Christian conservatives like and stuff like that like posting stuff like to the nature of I don't want to say justifying like us being there, but in some way they are, and I think your answer is so good because I just don't think we should be everywhere solving everybody's problems.
Yeah, a lot of that goes back to the the selectivist.
Yeah, right.
Oh, fuck.
Are you
Nick
dying?
just choke on his
No,
dick
I
over
just
there.
got COVID. No, that goes back to what you brought up at the beginning of the episode about, kind of the selective outrage. It's like we're over there, air quotes, spreading democracy and fighting for women's rights and equality for, gays and whatever over there. But it's like, well, then by that metric, we should be like in most of the world. Like we should be occupied in most of the world bombing
Right.
people.
You know what one of the funniest things that I've seen in these Taliban leader interviews is that they nonstop are talking about how they're going to instill a inclusive government and it's so funny that they're using like the woke US lingo, to as their propaganda, and
It's really
just like,
weird.
Yeah, it just kind of goes to show you like, how this propaganda works and they're using it there.
Successfully, I might add. To see that one interview though, where and this was one of the first kind of, I guess, I'm like hesitant to call it a press conference because I feel like
it was the day of it was the spokesperson for the Taliban.
I'm like hesitant to call it a press conference because that's me like recognizing that they're leaders now, right? But I guess one of their first press conferences, somebody asked about freedom of speech, and they were like straight up mocking America. He was like, "That's a better question for Facebook and Twitter in America." And it's like, holy fuck!
And they're not wrong.
No, and that was something that really like bothered me. I was like, "Holy shit, they're fucking right!"
And
like,
it goes to show you how these guys, the leaders, are educated.
Right, they're not idiots.
They're fully aware of everything that's going on in the world and the conflicts that are happening in the U.S. It's pretty interesting to watch.
So here's I'm just going to ask this question and just to feel you guys out. Is this a sign that America is no longer the world superpower?
I hope so.
That's a weird take.
No, I mean, like, what has us being the world superpower got us,
Well,
like,
yeah,
individually?
that's a fair point, yeah.
Like, well, how many trillions of dollars are we in debt now? I mean, how many proxy wars have we fought that have led to nothing to gain for the people besides the people in power?
Think about if all the money we've spent over there, what I think me and Cameron did the math. They said, or Tom Woods, he said roughly $250 million a day to occupy that country.
Yep.
So if you do
crazy.
if you do that over 20 years, I think the number was somewhere around $14 trillion. Imagine if we were not over there, and this is I'm separating myself from my libertarian viewpoints, but imagine if we continued spending that money, but on fortifying our defenses, and then we just said, "Hey, we're not in debt with anybody. Like, pull up."
Exactly. I forget who I listened to. It's been a while. It's been a couple of years, but I mean, Japan has a pretty good defense military. And I mean, they're in the middle of a place where, what are they? A couple thousand, not thousand, but tens of thousands of miles away from China, who probably is not a big fan of Japan. And you could say, oh, well, they're allies with America, so that would, get entwined. But still, I mean, like, no one's fucked with them. And, I mean, obviously...
Wait, who are you talking about?
Japan.
Oh, okay.
And, like, obviously, like, someone can bring up, oh, they can't have an active military, I think, due to the...
Yeah, the post-World War II agreements.
But still, like, I mean...
They have a defense force,
is
what they call it, yeah. And it's, like, limited in capacity and stuff.
But why couldn't we do something similar? I mean, I would assume our defense force would be tens of millions times better than what they have.
Yeah. If we just legalized recreational nukes, we wouldn't, we wouldn't need an army.
Nobody would fuck with anybody.
We can't go to America because those Tennessee boys got some nukes.
Well, that was one of the things that the Japanese commander said. He said, we can't invade America because I think the direct, quote was something along the lines of, behind every blade of grass there would be a rifle, referring to American.
And he's not wrong.
No, fuck no, he's not. Imagine pulling up on Florida shores, dude. You'd have some good old boys out there fucking hiding up in the tree lines, dude. You would not be able to...
And it's weird that there would be a lot of people happy for that.
Yeah, dude, a lot of people would be... I don't know, that's a tricky one. So many of these conservative good old boys are ready, in their minds ready for war, but they don't even... Yeah. And I'm not saying I know what war looks like, but I have a more realistic outlook on what that actually looks like. Yeah. But I don't know. I do think that this is something that I think you brought up, Bookie, in the last episode, just because, we talked about some Afghan stuff in episode 13, but, people generally speaking do not like foreigners coming into their country and kind of pushing them around. So
it's pretty understandable.
Yeah, I definitely think, like, although I think most of these Republicans are retarded in their way of, saying like, oh, we're going to fucking fight everybody. I do think that the American pride, no matter where you kind of stand, is still very strong. And I think overall you'd see major support in civilian forces fighting off like a foreign invasion.
Of course.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I mean, I watched the Olympics and I was getting goosebumps watching the women's volleyball team destroy whoever they were fighting in the finals for the gold medal.
How about what's-her-face coming out of her band getting smoked? What'd she come in like dead last?
Who's that?
The girl that she couldn't run because she tested positive for pot.
Oh, she came back though?
Yeah.
Oh, in the relay probably, right?
Yeah, she ended up racing in something and she like got smoked in the first race. And I mean, I don't like to see people fumble like that, especially over some dumb shit. But in her interview after the race, she's going on about how like not to count her out, and that she's going to come back with vengeance, and to her haters, whatever. And then the next day she announces she's dropping out of the Olympic races.
for like going forward for next year or next 4 years?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Well, that sucks. Because I would say, like, I can understand that, like, if you got pulled on this bullshit and you're like, well,
I'm going to look up the actual article because the Olympics is over, but this, I don't know, I seen something recently. What's her name, Richardson?
I have no idea.
I'm happy to say I didn't watch a single event in the Olympics this year.
Yeah, Sha'Carri Richardson, right? That's the one that she got banned. Finishes last in return to track. Racing for the first time since drug tests kept her out of the Tokyo Olympics. Richardson and the rest of the field were no match for Elaine Thompson-Herah of Jamaica. Sha'Carri Richardson sent a message before she returned to the track on Sunday. August 21st, she wrote, alongside a video she posted on Instagram this week, "And I am not playing nice." The message was clear. Weeks after a positive drug test cost her Olympic dream, Richardson was in the video and in real life ready to run again. On Saturday at Hayward Field I guess this wasn't Olympics. On Saturday at Hayward Field in Eugene, Oregon?
Yeah.
Her return to the competition at the Prefontaine Classic did not go as planned, facing a field that included all the Olympic medalists in her marquee event. So these are the girls that she would have raced against. The 100-meter dash, Richardson was beaten badly, finishing last with a time of 11.14 seconds. That was more than half a second behind the time of Elaine Thompson-Herah of Jamaica, the Tokyo gold medalist.
So perhaps she should have done a drug that made her faster, not slower.
No, I mean,
it was one race she said, was one race she said, "I'm not done. You know what I'm capable of." And then, later she went to say that, she was,
I have to say, I think the hair is causing a lot of drag.
Dude, that and the hoops, man.
Yeah.
I would say like
I mean, me and Chris could go into the aerodynamic drag aspects of this and get really mathematical, but
I couldn't. I would have no idea what
the-
the hell I'm talking
yeah, me either.
the minimal knowledge I have like on athletics just via like osmosis, it seems like she was like someone who's like, well, I got fucked out of the Olympics. I'm probably not going to train as I would normally. And she had this meet or whatever not too long after the Olympics, and she probably hasn't been training as much, hasn't been on point.
She's
And
been crying herself to sleep eating Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
so it was this Prefontaine classic that she dropped out of
yeah.
after saying that this is not the last you'll see of me. It
Yeah.
was one race.
So she probably just kind of didn't do her due
Hey,
diligence.
how long do you think she starts screaming something about racism?
Hopefully-
Actually, you know what? I'm not going to say that because how she handled
Too late.
her.
Already did.
Yeah, I guess I did. But no, how she handled her her getting caught up with the, you know, I think she did make the bet. Like I think she took it on the chin as best as she could. You know what I mean?
I agree.
I actually have immense respect for her in that aspect. So
Yeah, I mean, she brought up a great point, right?
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I don't have anything against you either.
No, she could have easily turned it into a race thing, and she didn't. So for that, I respect you. Hats off, Richardson.
Yeah, a lot of other people turned it into a race thing.
Yeah.
Right, isn't that interesting? It's like she didn't turn it into a race thing, but everyone else did.
That's all right.
Is your life nothing but sunshine and rainbows viewed from your ivory tower? Is your life too easy? Do you have a lack of hardship that is instrumental in creating a well-rounded and sound outlook on life? Then boy, do we have the product for you. Bordanazole is an FDA emergency use authorized drug that makes you depressed. Unlike other drugs that put a green screen on your dismal and depressing life, Bordanazole does the exact opposite. It instills a cynical and bleak state of mind that will undoubtedly make you question whether life is worth living or if you should just end it all. Well, we here at Politics on the Rocks are here to tell you that now's a great time to go ahead and pull the trigger on Bordanazole. Bordanazole is offering Politics on the Rocks listeners a whopping 69% off your first month's supply of Bordanazole with discount code POTR69. And honestly, if you make it through the first month's supply of Bordanazole, then it's probably not right for you, and you should just drink yourself to death instead. Again, that's POTR69 for 69% off your first and hopefully only month's supply of Bordanazole.
Turn that smile upside down with Bordanazole.
I don't know. I think she's a badass, so she can do a lot of shit that we can't do. So,
Speaking of which, hey, did you assholes join the Mises caucus yet?
I did the questionnaire.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Did
Yeah.
you have any email with you yet?
No,
Okay.
I haven't. I gotta check my email. I don't know.
I have the questionnaire pulled up, but I filled it out
Nice.
yet.
What about you, asshole?
I'll do it after this.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I guess we can mention that real quick.
Well, I was thinking.
I don't want to.
was thinking-
I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to be like specific. But we have some exciting news, I guess.
Yeah, we can just say that we're all joining, and then next
Well, we're
week
recording right now, so just be careful what you say.
right now.
Yeah, we're going.
Did
We're
you say
doing it
the
live.
N-word?
Oh my God, no.
What? Why?
Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, so we're again, not to get ahead of ourselves, but we have some potentially exciting news to announce, maybe within the next 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we'll announce it. You guys, we won't keep you in the dark about it. You guys will know when it happens, if it happens, which it's looking like it will. But yeah, I guess that's all that we really have to say about it. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a strand of exciting things. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
no.
going to be something that is going to
It's going to open some doors.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
And then
Thanks
before
for
you know
cutting me
it-
off.
And then before you know it, Chris is going to be the president. So
Yeah, of the New World Order.
yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, how about them fucking Aussie boys getting down?
That's pretty good to see.
It's pretty fucking awesome to see.
It got like pretty heated this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, just give us
Did you
the
guys
rundown.
see the video today? There was a guy on a police horse, and he was riding around like freaking Braveheart, just like yelling at people, going, "Cross the border! Cross the border! They can't arrest us all!" And then he goes, "Yeah!" And he fucking takes off.
It was on a horse?
And and everyone just started cheering. They're like, "Wow, this guy.
Again, dude, this goes back to what we, we mentioned in a previous episode. There is, for one, government power is a facade. It's not real.
Yeah. Just explain what we're talking about.
Yeah. So in Victoria, I think Victoria was like the ground zero for some of these riots, but it kind of, naturally was like a matchstick kind of event that started riots across Australia. But in Victoria, there was basically anti-lockdown, anti-mask, anti-vaccine passport protests that naturally the police turned violent, and
they even brought in the National Guard
Yeah.
to help the police.
Yeah, I just, from what I post and, the kind of like on my private page, I have this girl who lives over there who followed me, and we kind of, we talk about a lot of things, and she was actually there, and she was sending, she was posting a lot of videos on her story, and it was like fucking just absolutely crazy to see. And you good?
Yeah, I like this new cup.
It is nice.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cameron's sister, my cousin, for buying us some cool glasses.
Yeah.
She just bought me and Cameron glasses, so, but yeah, so, yeah, there's just crazy riots going on. I guess the Aussies are finally over it.
I think a little background knowledge too to go on top of that is the fact that Australia, most people know, is an island, a humongous island.
Wait, what?
Yeah. It's in the middle, not in the middle, but it's pretty well away from areas. And ever since COVID's been a thing, as soon as they get a whiff of COVID in their area, they lock the country down. And it's not like a American lockdown, which is still terrible.
No, it's like you can't leave your fucking house.
Yeah, you can't leave your house. You can't go to work. You can't travel.
Yeah, they have like military helicopters like scanning for people out.
And this is like their 10th or 12th lockdown, I think.
And when you say a whiff, you're not exaggerating. It's like there will be one case
Exactly.
in an entire city.
Yeah, I think since February there's been, and this is going off of what I heard on a Joe Rogan podcast.
Dude, flatten the curve, bro.
Misinformation.
Yeah. But no, apparently they've only had like 9 cases since February or something ridiculous, and they're using that to justify locking down again. It's
I mean, it makes sense they don't have many cases when they've had the country locked down for almost a year and a half, where travel is strictly restricted. If you do come in, you have to quarantine for 2 weeks in a hotel.
Yeah.
And then, so this is the background where these people have been suppressed and oppressed, very heavily by the government, and thankfully right now,
but they're all just descendants of criminals that don't want to work, so it kind of worked out.
Well, I mean, there's probably there's a famous comedian who said it correctly. There's probably a good amount of people there who are like, "Fuck yeah, I don't want to go to work.
Yeah, I just want to throw shrimp on that barbie,
throw some shrimp on that barbie, get some cold ones down,
drink
Get
some beer,
some
drink
Fosters.
some Fosters.
Yeah, some Fosters, mate.
Yeah,
They got the
fucking
big
cunts.
cans.
Yeah, the fucking big cunts.
But
Should I do this whole segment in Australian?
That'd be terrible.
Please don't do that.
But
Well,
just
now-
to warn,
well, now I
warn you
want to.
guys, if there's kids around, which I don't know why the fuck you're letting your kids listen to this, but
No, your kids should be listening to this. They
there's
need to be
definitely
exposed
going to
this.
be a lot of fucking cunts dropped during this segment. So just a word to the wise.
that's true.
Yeah.
But so that's why all these riots are now happening, because these people have been really under what should never happen. And if you want someone who's like, well, we have to save lives, like the amount of lives they're saving, the cases, like Chris said, is very there's probably been less deaths than the least inhabited city in
Oh fuck! Are we doing a COVID episode again?
no, but
Fuck.
no, but least inhabited city in America.
Hey, how many Aussies and Brits do you think are like kicking themselves in the ass for talking shit about America and our gun rights?
I'm sure quite a ton.
We're
'cause
always
they-
talking shit about America.
Yeah.
But,
So,
but the good thing is, we know that, like you said, government power and government influence is very minimal to what the actual population is. So it only takes a couple % of people to get up and start moving.
Yeah. You guys keep talking. I want to bring up this post
So
that Spike Cohen.
the thing I did want to kind of mention is, you look at these. If you haven't seen any of the riot footage, it's pretty. It's alarming in the sense like this is happening, and it's I think it's good because people should unfortunately has to come to some force to express how they feel, and hopefully it moves the government in a direction that allows them to be more free. But I think the riots that happened in like New York, maybe 2 weeks ago, when they introduced the idea of the vaccine passport, were like in like one of the small parks in New York, like a couple, like 50 people, like, and some guy up there like chanting something. You know, it's like, I don't know. When it comes to riots, I think America is pretty poor on it.
I think all the sensible people in New York have left at
Correct.
this point.
But I mean, like, a couple countries I see who are pretty good at riots are like France. Like,
oh yeah,
they're like, hear me out. France is fucking excellent at rioting. They'll destroy shit.
They will empty everything out of the nearby buildings and build a fucking barrier across the entire road.
But
they're just light it on fire.
They're just terrible at getting shit done afterwards.
You know who else was pretty inventive with their tactics for rioting and protesting?
Who's that?
The people of Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Dude, I was like,
The fact
I
that
was pretty
they
stoked to see
went
some
out
of the
and
shit they
did that under, the actual threat of literal death that they face for doing that is pretty amazing. Because, I mean, we've seen already a couple of the big actors in those protests have been like sent to basically the Chinese version of the Gulag. And there was one guy, he rode through the streets of Hong Kong with like a flag on the back of his motorcycle, and it said like, free Hong Kong or something in like Chinese, so I couldn't read it. It said something like free Hong Kong according to the news. But he eventually crashed his motorcycle because he was trying to dodge like police and stuff, and they arrested him. And he, I think last month, was sentenced to like life in hard labor camp in China.
Jeez.
Bro.
Part of me kind of wants to think that like on that sign was actually just like his Venmo and like
yeah, like Venmo me for butthole pics.
Yeah.
It's like
no,
when
this is,
like when white girls get Chinese tattoos and it says like chicken, kung fu chicken or something.
Yeah. All right, so Spike Cohen posted this, and I know Chris reposted it. It's basically a video of these fucking Aussie cunts breaking through a police barrier. So I'm just gonna read his caption because I think it's just kind of it goes back to what we keep kind of harping on, is that there's strength in numbers and there's like true power in numbers. But it says, this is a scene of an anti-lockdown protest in Melbourne, Australia, where protesters were easily able to break through police barricade and roam freely about the city. It is also a reminder that government power isn't real. The government makes up less than 1% of the population. If even 5% of us simply refuse to comply, government will be hopelessly outnumbered. If 10% plus refuse, they'll stop even trying to enforce it. You're looking at a fraction of 1% of the population here, and government is no match for them. Imagine if 100 times as many decided not to obey. This is how freedom happens. And I don't know. I just think that's a super good representation of, just the shit that we always talk about.
So something that just listening to you, Book and Chris talk about, like how like France has been good. You said Japan has been pretty good on like rioting and standing up when they need to.
No, Hong Kong.
Oh, Hong Kong. Sorry. And do you think like Americans
Are pussies? Yes.
No. If they were pushed to a certain point, could also be good, or do you just think it's just not in them and they don't want to look like the weird extremist kind of guy, or what is it?
I think this like social unrest, I think it all rests in how well the economy is doing and how comfortable people are.
Yeah.
Because as soon as people, because if you're going to a 9-to-5 job every day, you are making enough money to provide for your family and
go on the vacation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to Aruba every year.
Life's generally good for you.
When the government starts imposing more and more tyrannical measures on you, as long as it's not preventing you from which I guess with travel bans it kind of did prevent some of those things that people enjoyed, but as long as it's not preventing you from generally living your everyday life, people aren't really gonna rise up and cause a big stink about it. But as soon as people are not doing well and they're they don't really have anything to lose, that's where you start to see violence start to manifest. I think we're kind of dangerously close to seeing an economic situation that could, encourage some of that type of
I
thing.
feel like it's almost inevitable.
Kind of unfortunately, because, I mean, nobody wants to see violence in the streets, but
if you push people enough.
Yeah, whenever they're pushing you to a certain extent where, it's not acceptable, then that's kind of necessary.
Yeah, and I feel like the economic crisis that you're speaking to, I feel like at this point, it's kind of inevitable. I feel like that's, like, all the chips have been set in place and it's been set in motion. Like, I feel like that is the next step, right?
Mm-hmm.
The amount of money we've printed, the inflation we're starting to see and going to see exasperate.
Yeah.
The dollar is going to be worthless. I don't know. Maybe this is just me being a doomer, but
Yeah, you're not very optimistic, Nick.
yeah. Well, I mean, shit. How could you be?
Yeah,
No, I know.
Such a
Just to-
Debbie Downer,
Just to
man.
go back to Cameron's point, have we, can America, pull up with riots and kind of show that we are people who will stand up? I think we saw some of that last year with the BLM riots. And I know a lot of, like, Republicans right now might be like, whoa, 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 whoa. But, like,
I can see him doing that.
yeah, I mean, they
Yeah,
do
I
that
can
while
see
they,
that.
they cough on the cock. But
The cock.
when those riots first began, it was about police brutality and how a certain people felt they were being oppressed and being, marginalized in the sense where they were being killed. That's perfectly fine and perfectly sensible. And they rioted pretty well. Like, when they were first attacking just state buildings, police cars,
All for it.
going through the streets, that's great. Like, and I think they did a really excellent job. I mean, they fucked some shit up state-wise. It's when it gets into, like, private property and
Yeah.
businesses is when, like, I'm like, okay, we got to take a step back here.
Well, yeah, because you even seen a lot of Republicans were like, "Oh shit,
Yeah.
like, that's awesome. They have a problem with this, and they're attacking this."
Exactly.
And then you've seen the videos of people attacking grandma and
Yeah,
and
fortunately, things get out of hand,
her
and
shoe store.
people who aren't really for the cause join for fun, and things, shit
Just
happen.
like to hit people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wonder how many like FBI actors
Oh,
were
I'm
involved in that.
I mean, there's all the conspiracy theories, like the pallets of bricks being brought out
right,
and left
random
somewhere.
yeah.
But,
And it's crazy because me and Chris just posted this today. The guy, one of the biggest guys with the whole Whitmer abduction thing, he's coming out now saying that like it wasn't. I mean, this was like pretty much came to light just a few months after those guys got caught, but he's coming out now with a legal team saying like this wasn't my idea. I was like, it was the other guy's idea, and the other guys were FBI informants, and like,
And that's the whole thing with, FBI informants is they're supposed to infiltrate groups that are possibly going to commit terroristic acts.
observe and report.
And exactly, observe and report what they're planning and how they plan to do it. They're not there to put ideas in their head. They're not there to hatch out a plan. That's called entrapment.
That's a squiggly and oily place that we have here.
Yeah.
But just to go back to Cameron's point real fast is, yes, I think if push comes to shove, America would be the best rioting country in the world because we're fucking Americans.
We're the best at everything we do.
Man, I like how you brought that around.
Yeah. I mean, some people in the liberty movement might like kind of like put some pause when it comes to like patriotism, but like,
Screw him.
yeah, we have it. Fuck yeah, America's great.
Yeah.
I just want it to be
Greater.
Run by people who aren't fucking evil,
Yeah.
demented assholes.
correct.
Nice. I agree with that.
No,
by
that was
the way.
like very nicely put.
Yeah.
Evil, demented assholes.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 99% of the politicians.
So do we think anything's going to happen from these riots in Australia? I don't know. Like, I know there's a lot of news.
Man, it'd be pretty sweet if they
I
had
think,
guns.
Well, I mean, that's
You
a
know,
whole
like what?
topic in itself, yeah.
Right, like, they took their guns in the 90s. Like, what? I mean, from just looking at the Australian government versus the citizenry, I mean, sure, it's, cool to see them breaking barriers and, like, freely going about their business. But I don't see the Australian government folding that easy. I think if it gets much worse or continues much longer, they're going to start breaking out the big boy guns.
I don't think there's enough of them to, as of now, involved actively in this resistance to really, like you said, cause the Australian government to just give up. So I think, like you said, I think it's going to get worse for them as a result of these riots. I think when you're going to start a movement like this, it needs to be huge from the get-go. If you're gonna have a lot of traction,
if you don't have guns,
I think they're gonna use all the technology they have, facial recognition and all that stuff to track a bunch of these people down, similar to how the Capitol rioters are being tracked down in the U.S. And a lot of those people are gonna face extreme consequences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess my only hope is we always joke and Americans joke,
Sorry,
go ahead.
not to interrupt, but ironically, it would have been better if they just wore the masks.
Yeah. Just wear the mask and get the vaccine, guys. Come on, it's not that big of a deal.
No, I mean wear the mask while you're rioting.
Yeah, right.
But all I was gonna say is we make fun and a lot of Americans make fun of Australia being you're just offspring of failed criminals who weren't that good.
Yeah.
But they're still failed criminals. They're still criminals. Those people are pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, you could argue we are too, though, right?
No, sure.
I mean, America was kind of descendants of
some of that.
Maybe not criminal. Well,
founded by firemen.
Yeah, I guess it depends on how you define criminal. But we're descendants of
and what time frame you your family came here. But I'm just saying, there's some crazy fucking people over in Australia. They do some crazy shit over there. I don't know. I feel if there were, like Chris said, there's enough of them going at it, I think they could do something, and I hope they do.
And, too.
And like they said, it's unfortunate that it's come to this, that it's come to physical and violence, but when it comes to freedom, I mean, you have to do what you have to do.
Yeah. Best advice I can give you if you're in Australia, start building pipe bombs and things of that nature. Get some Molotov cocktails. Just start burning some horses,
Take some notes from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
What they had the diffusers for the smoke,
man.
The smoke bombs,
what
right?
do you mean? They're police.
Fucking narc horses, that's right.
Yeah. Just throw Molotov cocktails at their feet and
Oh my god.
plant pipe bombs places.
He's inciting violence.
And we thought we were going to get kicked off for saying vaccine.
Yeah. Everything I say is extremely serious, guys. I'm not joking.
Oh man, but
walking it back a fucking step. Right?
I've heard horse meat is actually pretty good too.
I'm
so
sure
you could have Australians love their barbecue.
Slow roasted.
Yeah.
We're gonna need the
Tender
horse
that
meat pretty
bitch up.
soon.
Yeah, a little bourbon roasted horse meat. I mean,
Wait, hold on. We say that. Do Australians love the barbecue or is that just something we say?
that's probably just a
Outback-
stereotype. Yeah.
Haven't you ever been to
I'll meat
Outback?
shrimp on the barbie, you fucking cunt.
You never been to Outback, bro?
We're Americans.
I just don't know if any Australians have ever been to Outback.
Dude, imagine if fast forward a couple weeks, a couple months, whatever. We seen that was a good one. We seen fucking Australians riding in the pouches of kangaroos with swords and shit, just fucking up the police.
I want to see those memes, just like we have those bear memes for Russians.
Yeah.
I want to see the kangaroo meme.
That's a real thing, though. You ever seen the video of
the bear cavalry?
No, who was the guy that fought McGregor and
Khabib?
Khabib, yeah. You ever seen the videos of him wrestling with smaller bears?
Mm-hmm.
He's like, yeah, my father used to make me wrestle bears, and everyone thought he was just joking because it's a Russian thing. And then it cuts to a clip of him at 13 years old wrestling with probably a 100-pound bear, bear cub or something.
Fuck, dude.
Yeah,
That's
you never
awesome.
seen that? It's nuts, dude.
But I was more the memes were the images of cartoons of Russians riding on bears with hats and AKs. But it's kind of interesting. We can see the Australian riots they're having right now, and then I'm not sure what's currently going on in Canada, but
Trudeau has just lost his fucking mind.
Yeah.
But we
You
saw
can't get on a plane. You can't get on a train if you aren't vaccinated.
But there's not really a lot of
Okay,
riots.
buddy.
There's not a lot of riots going on in Canada, right?
No.
We personally.
There
There
was
was-
ironic because they're French too, and you were just saying how
There
French
was
Yeah.
for a
Well,
little bit,
certain
and then
areas.
they ramped things up, kind of like how we're predicting is going to happen in Australia.
Well, we see that one guy. I know we all follow him.
The gym guy?
Yeah, he.
Oh, dude, that Chad,
Yeah,
I love that guy.
I mean, if I'm trying to say something, it's more
Canadian
of
guy?
Yeah, the guy that walks in the store and the lady's like, "You need a mask."
Oh,
and he's
yeah.
he
Yeah.
buys he buys something, and she's like, "You can't, you're stealing that."
It's
and he throws a 20 at her
Yeah,
and
it's
walks out.
it's like a $5 item, and
Yeah.
he just throws a 20 at her. He's
Yeah.
like, "Keep the change," and he walks out.
But
That's
I
like
paid
a
you.
chat.
I paid you. I paid you. But my point is a lot of people see riots and it has to be this big thing, and a lot of times, unfortunately, it does have to come to that. But what this guy does, I forget his name, unfortunately, But if you follow him, he runs a gym out of his house now because of the restrictions on Canada, and he's not even allowed to do that. But he still does it week to week because he thinks that's right, and he still gets cops coming, handing over violation notices, fines over his fence, but he keeps doing it, which is like pretty cool to see because it's not him going out there and trying to charge the Parliament building or whatever they have over there and their ice huts, but it's him standing up himself saying, hey, I'm running my business. These are people who are willingly coming here because they want to better themselves via health and they want to have community, and I'm going to take these, either he pays them or not, I'm going to take these hits on the face and I'm going to stand up against this tyranny.
Yeah.
And his name is Chris Sakochia, by the way.
Okay.
Double C's.
The Chad?
Yeah.
Well, it was like
Let me
it's
see.
like Viking Fitness or something.
I think that's his brand is Viking Fitness.
Yeah. I literally just typed in sunglasses Canadian anti-lockdown guy. He always so he has some sort of eye issue, like where he like is really sensitive to bright lights. So when he's like on the news and stuff, he's always wearing sunglasses because he's like in a bright freaking newsroom.
Yeah.
And he's like, everyone's saying, "Oh, this guy's high as hell," and so he actually had to like make a statement about it, about how no, I have this, eye.
We're talking about the
condition.
same guy, the Viking Fitness guy.
No,
No.
that's a different guy.
Okay, so we're talking
yeah.
about a different guy.
Yeah, I think I'm talking about the Viking
It's actually
Fitness guy.
kind of. Oh, okay.
That has his like own. He runs
Oh,
a
the
gym.
backyard gym. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right. Sorry.
Either way,
It's actually
the
kind of
same
funny
idea.
though. Some of the like most adamant anti-lockdown people have been like really big like gym people.
Yeah.
And because I mean that's like the first thing that got nixed, right?
Yeah.
Took their church away.
Yeah. Well, that too. Did you guys see that Polish priest? I believe, or I'm not sure what denomination he is, so I don't know what to call him. But he runs a church in I believe it's either in Ontario or it's over in one of the western provinces. But he was it was in Calgary. He was just being harassed by the police in his area.
Yeah, that
and
was a sick video.
they would show up at his freaking church and just like tell them they weren't allowed to be there, and then he would just go off on them and
Yeah.
call
Yeah,
them,
I saw that.
call them
Viking-
Nazis.
call them the
and-
Gestapo Nazi and
yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Wasn't he
It's beautiful.
he's a rabbi, right? Wasn't he a rabbi?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he's Christian.
Okay. Well, there was another video I saw
they're-
with a
they-
rabbi.
I think they're Orthodox. His church.
I think it was a rabbi who was like, he was having a service. I don't know, obviously, and like he like stopped the police from coming in. It was like a ton of them. I think Joe Rogan talked about it a couple times, and like they were all wearing like obviously like militaried
this
out
video here, right?
police.
Gestapo came again to...
Yeah. But so as much as like you see those big big videos of like full on riots going on, which is great, it's also we have to recognize these small people who are doing, I don't want to say doing their part, but they're standing up for what they believe in the sense of
Yeah,
No.
Pastor
I
Arthur
grew up.
Pawlowski.
Yeah, I grew up under communism, and my grandparents lived under the Nazis. Said Pawlowski. My family escaped the communists in Poland, and first went to Greece and then to Canada to get away from it. There were millions of Jewish people murdered in Poland, including at Auschwitz. Pawlowski told the Toronto Sun that he drew the line with guns in his church. This is a place for worship and no place for weapons, he said. We have people here praying. Calgary, yeah, this is the guy that you're talking about, though, Chris, where he was screaming at these, in Calgary over Easter weekend.
They were like sitting there trying to explain the.
He's like, get out,
yeah,
Gestapo!
and he's just yelling, "Get out!
Yeah.
Get out!"
It was pretty sweet to see. I was like, fuck yeah.
yeah. I mean that's just little acts of like
Fuck them pussies.
I
But
guess
seriously, that's his
freedom fighters.
It's his property. If
Yeah.
you want to talk to him, you can talk to him on the front lawn. Get the fuck out of my building. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying?
I think there was even
That's threat.
And you
that's
can
a threatening.
throat him.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
there was even some
I
like videos last year when that was happening in New York, maybe
Yeah.
Long Island. There's a couple of bars who were like kind of fighting it, and the cops would come in and like they had like the health inspector because that was like the way to go through. The
Yeah.
health inspector would come and be like, "You got to shut down." He's like,
Fuck
get out of
you.
my property."
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to tell you guys, but your local health departments are the Gestapo.
For sure.
So
Well, so it's interesting to see like Australia like rioting, but Canada kind of not. It's like a different culture. You know what I'm saying? Like people maybe you have a handful of people who are willing to stand up, but you don't have the kind of masses willing to just like totally revolt.
yeah,
you know?
I think in like our our cushy Western countries where we're living so comfortably, like we talked about earlier, I think it takes a lot for people to flip that switch.
Yeah.
But I think it's just a really dangerous thing. Like whenever that switch does flip, it's not going to be
Good.
nice.
No.
It's going to be
Yeah.
really bad.
And this is something that me and Colin talked about actually last night when he dropped me off. People are, and this is, again, you can kind of lasso in some of the ideas we talk about where Republicans are reactionary versus, on like the, they're always on their heels essentially. People are too inconvenienced by inconvenience. And what I mean by that is a lot of Republicans have these, in their eyes, these morals, but when push comes to suck, push comes to suck. No, when push comes to shove, they like abandon their morality for convenience. And again, this goes back to what you were saying, Chris, how, when people are doing, generally good, they have, they're well off, they can, move freely, they have food that, is easily accessible, things like that. It's easier for them to just say, you know what, I'll wear the mask, or, you know what, I'll just get the vaccine, or, whatever the particular topic is at hand. But people need to start, or need to stop abandoning the morality for convenience. And I think that's, I don't think you're going to see that until, like you were saying, Chris, there's like an economic collapse or crisis where people lose those conveniences just by the nature of an economic collapse.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean,
Yeah.
we brought up the sort of working class kind of guy, 9 to 5, goes home,
Or gal.
watches, or gal, watches the news,
Or
and then
they, them. Caesar.
makes a post on
Z's him.
Instagram about whatever he feels like is
Zay's him.
most appealing. I'm gonna stab you. But he, you know what I'm saying? Make that post, but when, like you said, when push comes to shove.
Well, when the puss comes,
When you gotta shove the puss.
Oh no. Anyways, when it comes to that, they're not gonna react.
Guys, it's
And-
3:30 and I'm
Yeah.
fucking hammered.
Yeah, this is weird because normally this is at like 11 o'clock at night, but now it's like you said, 3:30.
Yeah, now I have to drunk drive in the middle of the day.
Oh my
Just
God.
kidding, guys. We don't drink and drive.
Yeah, Nick drives a bicycle.
yeah.
Two wheels
Dude,
and
I
a
think
pedal.
that's still
Tandem.
considered. Yeah, me and Chris ride home tandem bikes.
Yeah.
At fucking 11:30, we're just busting out.
I'm like, all right, guys, I'll see you later.
Hey, I'll tell you what, though.
And then Nick just goes, ding, ding.
Yeah, I'll
We
tell you
take
what,
off.
though. Getting home from Chris's is tough on a tandem bike by yourself. Those things are definitely designed for two people. And when it's one person, it's tricky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're not meant for that dirt road, too.
No, fuck.
Oh man, that's funny. But really, you see people's true colors, But I think Chris is right on with this. You have to really take away what people really care about, and a lot of these people don't really care about politics. You know what I'm saying? They care about being on the right side, which is the people they're around, right? But
That tribalism.
but when you start taking away the things they do care about, then you'll see them react.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think you're right on, bro. I think you guys are right on with
Unless you're a gun owner. Gun owners, for whatever reason, really like to just kind of fucking fall back and take whatever happens to them.
They're like, well, I guess I don't need more than 10 rounds, Well, how often do more than 10 people attack someone?
Yeah.
But I think
And then the BLM riots happen. There's like 30 people just like kicking one dude. And they're like, well,
And maybe this was
he shouldn't have been there.
maybe this was better to bring up during the ammo ban conversation, but rare breed. I feel like this is good to bring up for our pro-Trumpers because Trump was the one that set the precedent for when he did his bump stock ban. Now, and I know me personally and Chris as well, we were both very, 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 very vocal about how, a lot of the, I'm going to do air quotes, Second Amendment activists were kind of like, oh, well, like, who really needs a bump stock? They're kind of stupid anyway. And the argument wasn't that bump stocks are stupid or not. I mean, I personally think they're pretty stupid. I mean, I guess from a novelty standpoint, they're kind of cool. You can, kind of simulate a automatic firing kind of thing. But
From a stationary position
Yeah.
without moving. And
Yeah, like if anybody has ever used a bump stock, you know that they're like super fucking awkward and like you can't really shoot accurately with them. Whatever, that's a whole different discussion. But Trump set the precedent with banning them, and Chris and I were both very vocal that like, sure, bump stocks are stupid. You might not have one, you might never buy one, but it's just setting the precedent that like now they're going to use that to go after everything. They're going to say, oh, well, why do you need a scope to be able to shoot 1,200 meters? Why do you need a vertical foregrip to, whatever? Like, you can use the same argument that Trump used to ban the bump stock for literally any single attachment on a firearm. And now you're seeing that happen with this rare breed trigger. They're reclassifying it as an automatic weapon under the National Firearms Act. And, now this company got served a cease and desist letter to stop manufacturing these. And it's like, okay, sure, and now you see the Republicans, again, with the reactionary, you see the Republicans coming out saying, oh, fucking Biden, this and that, banning this. And it's like, yeah, yes, Biden is doing this, but he's doing it under the guise of, or the president that Trump set with the bump stock. So, sure, like, as much to blame, or as much as there is to blame Biden for, there's just as much blame to put on Trump for this as well.
I was going to say, when you're talking about the attachments and all the different excuses they can make to ban basically anything, I remember Dianne Feinstein saying that she wanted to ban barrel shrouds. And so another word for a barrel shroud is a handguard. It's literally the part that goes over the barrel so that you don't have to hold on to the hot fucking barrel while you're shooting.
Up to 400 or 500 degrees.
It's literally like a non-negotiable piece of a firearm. You have to have it. It's like not,
right. It's you cannot fire
but they call it a barrel shroud and make it sound scary. And they show you like the scariest looking version of it, and then they're like, "This." Yeah,
no, I mean an air quotes barrel shroud. Actually, like they used to be referred to as heat guards, like in the old M16 and M4 days, like when those kind of were first popular. But yeah, back to the Australian shit. I feel like I don't know. Somebody said something about we talked about guns, and I felt like that was just a good point to bring up for our Republican listeners that want to blame Biden for being anti-gun. It's like a lot of the reasoning he's using was a precedent set by
ya boy
Daddy D, but not the Florida Daddy D,
the New York Daddy D.
I think it's kind of interesting. Cameron and Chris, or we all said it. Who knows? I'm a couple.
We're all always right, so we probably all said it at some point.
But
I mean, it's 3:30, dude.
Yeah,
it's all good.
It's an interesting topic to get into. Is like. And I think most people will think of this if they think about the subject for a little while, is what do I need to lose before I decide to stand up against a tyrannical, or which is now, what now would be a tyrannical government, For Australia, for a certain population, it's been being locked down over and over for the past year and a half. What is it for in America? A lot of you guys have talked about economical status, which is probably, I would assume, 100% true, because if you look at most politicians, now being out of like the first hyperbolic statement of COVID, they're not really trying to shut anything down fully. It's more of a getting away through vaccine passports. And I don't want to talk about COVID too much, but it's more of a fact of what do we need to lose as a general population before we stand up and say, hey, this is like bullshit.
Probably my virginity.
That. But it's an interesting topic because it's like we said, Australia's having these riots. Canada hasn't had as far as I know, to that extent. So obviously, economically, they're doing a little bit better, I would assume. But at the same time, like their rights are being trampled on, and people can't go to businesses, or certain businesses can't be working. And in America right now, you should say, well, most states are open in the fact that people can go places
and move around.
Yeah, and economically, the general populace is probably doing okay. But Is that okay? Just because we're doing okay?
Yeah, I think with what you're talking about with Canada, just with experience with my family that lives, my entire family lives there, with the exception of my parents, and it's
Good for them.
Like even most of my family, we're from Appalachia, Canada, or Appalachia, Canada. I'm pretty sure I'd done that before on this show, but someone's gonna be screaming at the top of their lungs. So we're from Appalachia, Canada, fucking just north of Maine, fucking backwoods. People are not liberals where we're from.
Pretty conservative area.
Right. But even they have just these ideas that are very just in line with what their government tells them, and they kind of don't venture out of that. For example, to go back to guns, I had a lot of conversations with my family about guns when we were there, and they're just like I told them, how I, have a handgun and I carry it most places that I go, when I'm out in public. And they're like, why do you need that? It's that's, handguns is something that gangbangers have or something. And I'm just yeah, that's exactly why I also have one.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If the gangbangers are going to carry it around, then I'm also going to carry it around.
Or you're
if they try to fuck around,
or you're
They gonna find out, boy, you heard me?
or you're the guy that has a knife. Bitch, I got a gun.
Yeah, exactly.
Gun
Dude.
beats knife within 20 feet.
Yeah, rock,
So-
paper's knife.
So
Gun.
to get back to my point, basically, I think a lot of Canadians are already subjugated. Even the most, quote unquote anti-government of the Canadians are still very, pro-government by comparison for, people who like us.
Trudeau's got him wrapped on his beautiful finger.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it happened way before then.
that is one thing.
just the type
He's
of
a
people
handsome
they are.
looking dude.
Too handsome for his own good.
It's too handsome for Canadians' own good.
Yeah.
Because that guy might be able to get me to do.
Do you
kinda
think he
whatever
would
wanted.
ever get elected if women weren't allowed to vote in Canada?
Oh my god!
That's a good topic for next episode.
Then you have the Australians. They want to jump off of waterfalls and swim with sharks and stuff.
Fucking just free
They're
dive.
they're
Are you
different.
wait? Did you say Canadians or Australians?
Australians?
Oh, I'm waterfalls
no.
in Canada. I'm what?
Honestly,
no.
I'm looking forward to just maybe getting into local politics and them just playing clips of this podcast in the middle of the fucking in the middle of the town hall.
Dude, I can't.
to
I
prove that I'm
actually,
racist or something.
I've actually thought about that. I'm like, when
It's and next up we have Cameron Hunnicky from Politics on the Rocks.
I'm just gonna be standing up there.
He's going to be given
I was drunk
2
when I was-
minutes to speak, but before he speaks, we just want to play a little clip of his, and he's saying something way out of context, and it's oh shit. And anything I say now at this point is just going to be.
Kim's just gonna be up there I was drunk when I said that.
not me, dude. Chris is going to be the president.
Man.
Yeah, we're fucked if we try to do anything. Maybe what we have planned is probably not a good idea.
It's going to happen.
That's all right.
Yeah,
Man, I don't know
really
about
care,
you,
honestly.
Nick, but it's that time of day where that sun is kind of peeking in here, just blasting my back.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the sun moved, huh?
Yeah, it
Yeah. Normally
moved.
we do this in the dark.
Yeah,
no
me and
sun.
Chris, our backs are getting baked right now.
So, do you guys have any last comments you want to say?
Americans fight in the dark, boy.
No, I don't know. I think
I don't know. I guess my last
good
comment.
episode. It's
then
been a
would-
while since I've been this drunk at 3:45.
Not me, boy.
I gotta
Drunk
say,
every day.
these voodoo chips.
Sponsored by Voodoo.
Dude, Zappas, you guys figured it out with these. If
Oh
you guys
my
want to
God.
sponsor the podcast and just send us a case of these fucking chips,
Well,
you probably don't, but if you do,
if you do,
We'll do a nice
You should.
advertisement
contact our
for
guys.
you.
Our guys will contact your guys, and we'll get some chips.
But
oh,
I guess my only thing I want to leave
Let me
people
get some of
with
those.
is to think about is what would it take for you to stand up against your government? Because unfortunately, and hopefully it doesn't come to this, but it will come to that. And I hate being with people it's going to happen, and they're dead, and someone points to them 80 years later, they said it's going to happen. Fucking, of course it happened eventually.
I'm convinced, after all of this has happened, I'm convinced that there are a lot of people in this country and in, a lot of other Western countries that it would take being in line for the fucking gas chamber for them to stand up.
Right, and
to
at
their
that point,
government.
it's too late.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is unfortunate. But hopefully it's just people to think about it.
Wow, Chris, are you comparing vaccine
comparing
passports
the
to the Holocaust?
Shut the
oh
fuck up.
no, I'm gonna get Nick started.
As if the Holocaust started overnight, you
Dude, they
fucking
came
idiots.
for me, bro. They came for me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That-
we heard
that's
about
what
it.
gets me with those people who will get mad that you're comparing the stuff that's happening now to the Holocaust. Yeah, no, I'm not comparing it to the Holocaust.
Yeah,
I'm
there's-
comparing it to the lead up to the Holocaust. You realize it didn't happen overnight, right?
Yeah. It wasn't he was voted in. The next day, he was like, "All right, we're going to kill all the Jews now."
Yeah. And
It was an incremental thing that a lot of people didn't notice what the outcome was going to be.
Yeah, and it's always good to
Even,
mention that we didn't know the Holocaust was happening.
Yeah,
when we invaded.
yep. Even
And I
when
mean,
the
do
war
we
ended.
really know if it
no.
actually?
Oh my god!
Oh my god.
Yeah, let's
my
get into
God.
the Holocaust.
Timestamp
All right,
that.
yeah, this is a good place to end the podcast. Thank you
Oh,
guys
shit.
for listening. Yeah, stick around. We're gonna have some cool things coming up, some exciting things. Next week we're gonna have we have scheduled a caller in. Yeah, we'll introduce him when the time is right.